But this whole thing, it's just a symptom of a larger problem. There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country. It may be the beginning of the end of our informed democracy. Of course, in a free society, you can and should think whatever you want. And if you want to think the world is flat, go right ahead. The earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity.
It is an interesting experiment telling somebody you know that you no longer believe in the universe and that our Earth is a giant spinning space ball. Try it for yourself. I guarantee they will tell you you're crazy, or at least look at you like you've lost your mind. The most interesting thing is when challenged, the ball believers will not actually be able to give you solid empirical evidence based on their first-hand experience that the Earth is actually a large spinning globe. Can any of us demonstrate firsthand in our day-to-day lives the Earth's curve or motion through the solar system? No, we cannot. And can any of us say we have seen the planets in their orbit and the universe expanding with our own eyes? No, again, we can't. Usually in response to this crazy person telling them that the Earth is flat, they will respond by 1. Bringing up images of the Earth as presented by NASA, or 2. They will say, come on, everyone knows space exists, and tell you that countless professors have dedicated their lives to studying this matter. At some point, perhaps, an emphasis on the existence of gravity will come up in the conversation. But you see, what is really happening when someone reacts so stubbornly to an alternative view of the Earth is not a result of the person's mental capacity. If the person had sat down with their heavily pregnant sister and said, "You are not a woman and you are not pregnant," then that is a statement which deserves such a reaction, as there is obvious empirical evidence of her pregnancy. No, what commences when challenging a person on the Earth is a battle against their programming. This programming is a deep-rooted and established matrix that is deliberately constructed when we are infants. Before we leave primary school, our first-hand experience of our flat and stationary world is slowly being erased and steadily inflating into the bloated and spherical idea that the Earth is a globe. The sad thing is, many of us grow up and never question this notion again. It is only in photographs and videos from NASA and other official trusted sources that the horizon appears curved. All amateur and raw unedited images of the Earth will provide a completely flat horizon. And this is what we see ourselves through our own two eyes when standing at a beach or looking out from a vantage point. At any altitude, the horizon always appears 360 degrees flat, because it is. And it always rises to meet the eye level of the viewer. You never have to look down or up to see the horizon. It meets you. No matter how huge they say the Earth is, if it were a curved ball, you would have to adjust your view upwards or downwards to meet the horizon. And I know we've seen the curve in photos and videos, but NASA and many other official sources continually distort the horizon in their footage with a fisheye lens to give the effect of a curved Earth. This is the same fisheye lens inherently built into the GoPro. And I know what you're going to say. You've seen the horizon bend and curve when journeying at altitude on an aeroplane. But unfortunately, this is more trickery. Aeroplane windows commonly bow outwards to give the illusion of curvature. A Telegraph article, catering to our gullible nature, explains that flight windows were changed because the square windows caused a higher percentage of crashes. Yeah, right. They use our size as human beings to dismiss our own infallible perception of a flat and stationary Earth, claiming we are not big enough to witness the curvature. But this balloon managed to ascend 121,000 feet and left its fisheye lens behind. Lo and behold, a flat horizon. The balloon wobbles and spins, but the horizon remains dead straight, not curving in any way, shape or form. And this is the problem. For centuries, our ancestors used their own judgment and relied on their own natural-born senses to discern that the Earth was flat. And although some had dabbled in theories of the Earth's potential curvature, it wasn't until the early modern period, with voyagers like Christopher Columbus, that the heliocentric globe model became dominant and humans forever sacrificed the knowledge of their own senses. And the heliocentric model is so blatantly flawed and nonsensical that it's astonishing that it even gained traction. Take the water bordering our horizon, for instance. It is the natural physics of water to find and maintain a level, and it just so happens that that level is flat. If Earth was a spherical ball, water would not maintain such consistent flat levels. We are used to water doing this and this, but we have never in all our lives on Earth witnessed with our own eyes water do this. Water does not bend. It's not called sea level for nothing, you know. And if water did not always find a flat level, then why would we use tools such as this to achieve accuracy? Again, water does not bend. Rivers, for instance, always run down to sea level. If Earth was a rotating ball, then inevitably many rivers on Earth would at some point in their journey have to flow uphill. As Eric DeBay points out, the Mississippi is 3,000 miles long, which means it would need to run uphill for 11 miles on a globular Earth. He also points out that a portion of the Nile runs for 1,000 miles with a fall of only 1 foot. Again, if the Earth was a spherical ball, this would be impossible. The scientist magicians of our world claim that the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference. But spherical trigonometry dictates that the surface of all standing water must curve downward at 8 inches per mile, multiplied by the square of the distance. That means that a 20-mile stretch of water would dip 66.68 feet on either side of its central peak. Every time scientists have tried to find these dips and bends, however, water always proves to be completely level and flat.
There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country.
When building railway tracks, roads and bridges, architects and engineers never account for any curvature. Engineer W. Winkler was published in the Earth Review regarding the Earth's supposed curvature, stating, "As an engineer of many years' standing, I saw that this absurd allowance is only permitted in school books. No engineer would dream of allowing anything of the kind. I have projected many miles of railways and many more of canals, and the allowance has not even been thought of, much less allowed for. This allowance for curvature means this, that it is 8 inches for the first mile of a canal, and increasing at a ratio by the square of the distance in miles. Thus a small navigable canal for boats, say 30 miles long, will have, by the above rule, an allowance for curvature of 600 feet. Think of that, and then please credit engineers as not being quite such fools. Nothing of the sort is allowed. We no more think of allowing 600 feet for a line of 30 miles of railway or canal than of wasting our time trying to square the circle."
There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country.
If the Earth was actually a globe, spinning at a mind-numbing 1,000 miles per hour, how is it that we do not feel its motion? There is not a single person on Earth that can testify to feeling the Earth's alleged spin. We feel the motion when travelling in a car, train, boat, plane, and can experience motion sickness. The scientist magicians will tell you that we do not feel the Earth spin because it is spinning at a constant speed. They often use the analogy of a train ride. We only feel that we are moving